I'm going to show you guys everything today on this new molding I've got. This is a stand that I made, basically taking a Dollar Tree dish like this, pouring Ultra Cal in it. It was actually a happy accident. I had made a mold, was making a mold for another piece, and I had a bunch of Ultra Cal left in the bowl, and it set up and solidified on me, and it made this mold, and I turned this into a mold stand. So basically what I've done is I've taken this, and this is what I use when I need to make molds of the masters that I have. This is about a 1-inch PVC pipe, which I drilled a hole in here, put that in there. And then what I do is I take these Dollar Tree store tabletops right here, tablecloths, right? And I will lay these over the top of this. I can line it up again. I know where I had it, but I don't know where it went. So I line these up, I fold them up, line them up. These are like, a dollar from the dollar store. And just fold it up, line it up, and put it over the mold stand. Reason being, I had already preset this out. I wouldn't be doing this Facebook Live, but Facebook has put me in jail for 3 days because apparently they think that the gift of Rocky Balboa punching the meat, the side of beef, somehow or another violates their sexual content nudity clause, whatever that is. Anyway, you take the sheet, fold it over like this, punch a hole in it, slide it down over the top of the form, like so, okay? This keeps your tabletop from getting messy as well, because Ultra Cal is going to go on top of this. Now, here's an example of a piece that I'm going to be molding. It's a new production piece called, I call them Skinner, the Skinner Lockjaw. This was done for me by Chris Van Etter, and he's a new production piece. So what you can do is you put this on top. This is a foam and latex form. And what you can do is just put this on top to kind of go on top of the form. Now the problem I have is the back part of it doesn't mesh well with the tabletop. So I've got two options. One, I can do a clay wall mold of the back and make it a more fuller form, or I can utilize it as it sits like this and mold over it, but I have to fill this in somehow. So there's one or two ways you can do that. One, you can cut your stand stick down, which I'm going to do real quick. Do a sawzall and just cut the stand stick off. This would not be typical. I'm just doing this as a tutorial for how to do this. Try to make that smooth as possible. Alright, so now we take this and put it back over. And it's still not quite flush, but it does hang. There it goes, right there. Still not quite flush, but it does hang nicely. So when I do the molding over this, Ultra Cal over this, there will be a lip of sorts. Now, you may ask, what do you do to keep it from wobbling and all that stuff? Well, it's very simple. I take a bunch of bags, junk plastic bags, and you stuff the form. right here. So all I have to do is, even though it has foam in it, what you do want to do is you can stuff it with bags, make it a little bit more firmer. And there's a reason for that. Because when you demold this from the Ultra-Cal, you're going to have to take all this out. You're going to have to get this out of the mask, because the mask out of the master out of the Ultra-Cal. And the reason being is because it is going to be a one-piece mold. So that is the reason for having this in a one piece, like so. Now, on the back side here, I am going to have to do a little bit of a clay wall molding. So what I'm going to do, I've got that firm where it's not going to become disoriented or anything. And I've still got to mold up a clay wall back here. So what I can do, and you can do this, this is not something that I typically do. It's not normal. It's not really average. But if you come into a situation where you have to do something like that, this does work in a pinch. Just take some clay, put it down, and shape it in and around. I've got a bunch of clay in my bucket over here. I've had to rehydrate. And the reason I'm doing this is because not only do I want a good form for it, but I'd also like to have a kind of seamless mold on the front side. I can tell generally where it needs to be cut. I will do a line where it needs to be cut on the mold. You can tuck that up. You can push that up under there. Just take some clay and build your wall in the back, kind of a form. Now see, I have to do the same thing for the predator head, because the predator head is just a head and it has no neck. So when I put that on the head form, when I get that done with the clay form, I'm going to have to structure a clay neck for that as well. So just basically taking this clay and just kind of shaping it over and around to this to make this a smooth form. There's no details being obscured in this clay wall thing, this net molding. If you have a piece that is cut too short and it's a master and you need to remold it, this is also something you could do to lengthen the neck on your pieces. This particular one, I'm not against the way it was shaped or formed, but I thought, well, this would be a good chance to show people how to restructure things, that if you need more length in something or more dimensions, that's how you do it. Or this is one way you can do it. I will go around the outside of this whole thing and put in clay just to form a bit of a wall or shoulders or what have you, to make sure that it all comes good and clean and well formed. Now this being the master copy, like I said, this is cut a little too short in the back. You know, you can do this however you want. It doesn't really make much difference, but what I want to do is shape this where this neck part gets covered up, but it doesn't leave any gaps. It's very warm out here too. So in essence, I'm sculpting in a little bit more definition to this piece by making it have a neck and shoulders. So it becomes a more over the head, down around the collar and the front and back. That was the thing, because if this is to ever be a cosplay piece, it can be utilized to be a full head neck piece for cosplay. I'm just going to take a little bit more quick and kind of smooth it out. Now this would be a two-part video in one, because I will be doing a ultra-cal molding when it cools off. It's a little too hot out here now for this to be a full one-term video. Now this is not something that I learned from another artist. This is just something I kind of came up with on my own, so this may be something unique and new to some people. I just kind of put my head together and thought, well, you know, you got to add details to it, you got to add extension to it, so this is how I would think that it would be done. So hopefully maybe this has helped some of you guys out, that if you have a mistake that happens in your molding process and your piece gets cut too short, the master part or what have you, or you want to go back and restructure it later, you can do that this way. All I'm doing is filling in the gaps where there would be problems from the ultra-cal getting up under the mold, and it's to keep it from it doing that. And then at the same time smoothing it out, laying it down, that type of thing. Build up this clay for support a little bit. couple of masters that I have that the neck structure is not the way I like it. Um, and so I have to go back and do the same process here of reforming that. And this is just a process to reform, extend, lengthen, or change the shape, form of the neck for better structure support. Resin pieces, the same thing can be done. You just have to silicone it when you get done with it. So you can do that as well with silicone. But the thing is, you have to do a clay build-up of the neck or whatever piece you're trying to extend or change or restructure, retooling, I should say. And the thing is, I'm using not just the master itself, but I'm also using the form that I made in UltraCal, the master form, the stand, as an adhering basis to put this clay on as well. And I apologize for not being able to turn this around, but this is a stationary thing. I do have that phone over there with the camera pointed at it, so you guys can just see me do this. Um, Normally, I would like to have something that would be on that stabilizer that would be a 360-degree tracking type thing, but I'm not getting good reception for Wi-Fi out here to do this live on YouTube. So that's another problem, issue. Okay, I will show you guys the end results of this here in a second. I just gotta shape up this area right here. This seam doesn't want to cooperate. There's a little bit of a flange flare up, or the seam itself wants to poke out. That's a flap, latex flap. Now I could cut that, but I can lay this down on top of it and just weigh it down and look like. Then all it does is entail smoothing it out to make it lay flat and be more structured to be layered. Now this same process, like I said, the Predator project that I'm working on, I'm going to be doing that in two pieces, two-part clay. That's going to be in monster clay for the initial pour of the head and the jaw and all that, and then I'll have to put that on the Ed head stand and structure either a monster clay or water-based clay, the neck and the shoulders. That I will have to do, and that's going to be an integral process in itself. So, this is basically, I'll show you real to a rough neck restructuring, and I'm not going to be like totally, I'm not going to be totally analytical about this because, let me just turn this around. So I've restructured the entire thing with clay on the neck, and all I have to do is smooth it out in a couple of spots to where it lays down and it's not, doesn't have that flare-up detail, which is okay, because I still want a marker. The end of the mold is where I'm going to make the cut on the latex, but still managed to restructure a neck and shoulders for this guy because, like I said, the piece was cut too short on the master. So, it being very hot out here, I'm just going to, there's the whole piece. This is the Skinner Lockjaw. That's what I'm calling it. And so then I've got, like I said, new neck. I'll come back out when it cools off and do a video, which will be part 2 of the molding process of this in UltraCal. I have the whole thing set up, ready to go. The backside too. Yeah. So, alright, we will let this be the part 1 of the Skinner Lockjaw molding, and we will come back later and do part 2 in a bit. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.